Alrighty, friends, family, seething freaks from Twitter that stalk me. Welcome to Marchese Methods. Our topic for today is going to be gym culture and its platitudes and how they totally fucking pussify you. And I didn't make that the title because YouTube, I'll get in trouble, but I made that the title of the Twitter article. And a lot of our themes here are about behavior change and understanding the underlying psychodynamics. And that's what we're going to get into with this. Before we begin, if you're loyal, if you are a loyal Marchese Methods ally, you are going to like and subscribe. Even if you got to make an account and you don't have one, make one, like and subscribe, and boost my stuff, okay? I'm a little guy right now. You got to help me get famous so that none of these hoes can say dumb stuff like, oh, you only have a few subscribers, okay? So I'm just kidding. You don't have to do anything, but that's a little joke. So speaking of that, little Twitter drama. I know it's funny and kind of juvenile, but that's the nature of it, right? You know, you can't escape it if you're online. Twitter drama scared the shit out of some hoes. You know, some of them I just called out. I hate using that term, called out, but I said, you know, oh, these types with half their face in the profile picture and do these one-liners that are supposed to be aloof and mysterious. And they're trying so hard with that, and it's just like totally unimpressive. You might have seen it in your life. Girls who go to grad school, they'll put their caption as just mastered with like the check mark. And that's supposed to make us all like think they're cool and mysterious and edgy, and they don't really care, like they care, but it's nothing to them, and so on. So wrecked that idiot. Wrecked some idiots who were like, Trump's making the price of insulin go up to $600 instead of $60. So I said, damn, you know what's crazy though? Gym membership still $50 a month. Technically type 1 diabetes and all that. You could go to my Twitter to find all of that. I won't give you too many of the details. And then another one, somebody was complaining about abortion. I said, hey, crazy concept, but maybe you don't, maybe you just chill on letting men in your for the week a month that you could get pregnant. And she goes, do you think women can only get pregnant 1 week a month? Yeah, you don't? What the fuck? Are you retarded? In fact, that blew up. I got a lot of attention from that. Somebody quoted me and it had like 600,000 views and all that. So I actually am famous now. You don't have to do all that following and all of that. So anyway, let me get started. Let me not ramble on juvenile drama. So gym culture and its cringe platitudes. So you might have kind of picked up on this theme on my last video, the 75 hard is easy. In a similar fashion, we're going to go over the broad scale of gym culture. And then I think I'm going to do some small videos on specific subset topics of gym culture, kind of like 75 hard, that is actually easy. Just to give you a little bit more consistent content here, because it takes me a few weeks to really prep my thoughts and everything. That's either because I'm a genius, or it's actually because I'm low IQ and I can't word sell. But at least I have an excuse as being a shape rotator. My master's degree I'm almost done with in shape rotating. So, all right. So, gym culture. Firstly, even using the term culture is just so cringe to me because it legitimizes whatever your vision of gym culture would be. But loosely, it's the amalgamation of all the stupid jokes online, the memes, the reels, the pages, the fitness stars, and all of that. And, you know, it's also the longer form advice and all of that. Now, right away, this has a problem because people tend to listen to this stuff without really checking it and not fact-checking like a Redditor, not fact-checking like an empiricist, but just thinking about these things rationally and if they make sense and what the underlying messages and communication is with some of these things. And overall, some people just kind of tend to listen to it because, you know, hey, might as well listen to the big guy. Or if, you know, everyone is saying things like, you know, Abth made it in the Kitthen, then certainly it's a reasonable heuristic to suggest that it might be true. But you remember your parents telling you, like, if your friend jumps off of a bridge, does that mean you do it too? You know, especially when you really think about it, the more people there are that think or feel or believe something, the more likely it's simplistic, or the more likely it is a product of the lowest common denominator instincts, impulses, thoughts, feelings, and all of that. that lizard brain that we always talk about, right? Even amongst the gym world, the gym culture, you might think these people, this collective, the average gym goer collective, might be a little bit more evolved and sophisticated than non-gym goers and all that, but they're really not. In fact, most people who go to the gym are still normies. You really haven't graduated to a serious fitness person. If you're not past like the 3 times a week, the 20-minute bullshit, slamming 900 milligrams of caffeine and then doing arms for 10 minutes on a Friday night before you go out, bro. So it's a okay heuristic, but sometimes we have to think a little bit more deeply. And I'll use the abs are made in the kitchen example here. This is one you might see often. Let me get the Gatorade here because I watched the video of me doing sipping the other water and it just looks a little, I don't know. You have to be conscious of every last little frame online because some freak somewhere is going to screenshot it and it's going to look real bad. Doesn't matter too much, but it's funny. You do have to protect yourself from the harassment a little bit. All right, so Abth made in the Kitthen. Arms crossed, cool guy. So firstly, the tonality of this, the communication, they're really making like they're dropping some sort of profound, epically epic red pill, making everybody woke on the abs question, woke on all of the relevant facts with abs in the fitness, enlightenment, the what's it called? The Western Front of fitness enlightenment. So they already portray it this way, and you might fall for it. You might fall for that sort of portrayal, the confidence with which, the vapid confidence with which they portray this. Now, a 115 IQ can explain that what it means is they're essentially debunking the very normie idea that there's such a thing as spot fat burning. So in other words, very normie, uninformed people who don't even really just rationalize that much either think that if you work out your abs, these fat specifically on your abs will go away. So they mean to debunk that by saying Abth are made in the Kitthen. And the communication there is not having body fat on your abs is a product of your eating, and more accurately, the rate at which your calories go in versus the rate at which your calories go out. I hate saying that, but that's what it is. So to get abs, if you don't have abs now, then to get them, you have to output more energy calories than you put in via eating. So they say abs in the kitchen. But yet there's a secondary layer to this. And this is kind of like some of the copes we talked about in 75 Hard, where it says the word so confidently and all of that the sentiment of it must be true, but it inspires people to not just believe it, but believe their interpretation of Abth made in the Kitthen. And what does that mean? That means the floodgates are totally open for them to interpret it really however they want, and then back that with the confidence with which all of these boneheads online say it. Now, how are people going to interpret this? Very carefully, because they are normies and total slaves to their lizard brains, they're going to carefully interpret this as more so, okay, abs are made in the kitchen, and all I want is abs, right? I don't want to be big and jacked and fucking sexed up, even though that's what they want. Or if they aren't conscious of that, they just think abs necessarily implies that they're sexed up monsters. So they say, yes, I got it again. Another cheat code. Yes. All I have to do is cook nice foods and not work out, and then I can still get abs, and I can still finally get weighed. Yes. That's what they think. That's how this stuff goes. That's how it always goes. People take it, abuse it as any excuse they can to dodge the god-awful, heinous discomfort of getting your fucking ass to the gym. They abuse the confidence and the brevity of the terms to justify their bullshit interpretation of the term, to then excuse themselves from working out. Furthermore, they take it another step, and when they don't get results, or they take it a further step overall by saying, you know what, man? All that lifting stuff is just for ego, dude. Like, I don't need to be big, dude. I don't need to be big and tough. Like, that's what insecure guys do. I just want, like, abs and to be lean and to have a freaking six-pack. So, interestingly, they further take it to then excuse themselves from or rationalize their desire to actually get fucking sexed up and look real good. They rationalize that away as an insecurity thing. But really, it takes an insecure person to obsess and compulse over whether or not you appear insecure to other people. It's also very insecure to not keep your promise to yourself, to not be willing to treat yourself with the respect of getting to the gym, keeping your promises to yourself, and lifting. So that is our abs are made in the kitchen example. And I have one of my tweets is, abs are only made in the kitchen if you're making nothing in the fucking gym. That's the short version of it. You know, they carefully forget the part where you lose body fat also comes with outputting energy, not just reducing the amount of energy you input. And crazy concept, but if you put on more muscle, you raise your basal metabolic rate, right? The rate at which you burn calories to exist, so that really the ab stuff becomes effortless. Effortless in the sense of you don't have to be ultra conscious of every last decision you make with regards to eating. But that would require the god-awful discomfort of lifting weights. And overall, just the more you think about eating, the more you're going to wind up eating. You know, preoccupying yourself with the food part is just going to make you eventually, your thoughts and your synapses lead to eating more junk and stuff. Always got to check like a few minutes in if I'm still recording or if I even hit record in the first place. All right. So now, people also are eager to parrot these platitudes because it grants them the illusion of being fit. And what that means is, essentially, they think that they're like fit by association, right? Guilty by association. So they think they're fit by association. So if they parrot the platitudes, if they say the cool guy things, if they prance around like this, yeah, dude, push-pull legs is the most important split. Rested, a vital part of recovery. They think that by saying these things and giving the illusion to other people that they're a part of the fitness community, that necessarily implies that they're fit, right? You wouldn't know those things. You wouldn't know to say those things unless you were a part of the fitness community. And you're not a part of the fitness community unless you're fit. So there you go. Proof QED, proof that I'm fit. That's crazy because you still have a fucking gut. You're still weak. You still look like shit. You still eat like shit. So more and more people choose this path of, if they can excuse themselves from working out but still get the image of working out, then they're like, yes. And really, you're only fooling yourself, right? Because the truth and its consequences exist and bear weight irrespective of whether or not you're acknowledging them. So in other words, you can say you can make like you're a part of the fitness community all you want, but if you're not fit, you're not going to reap the benefits of being fit. The only people who are going to be impressed are going to be people who are like really, really completely out of shape. You know, some obese person is going to be impressed with you because you're just not obese. But that doesn't count. All right, so, you know, and then they also try to grant themselves this status to it. Yeah, part of the fitness community, you know, in their suits, in their LARPy suits in the cigar lounge, granting them some sort of aristocratic status over everybody else. Yeah, I'm a part of the fitness community. You know what that means? I'm fit. And you know what that means? I work out and you don't because you're like a lazy plebeian. You're a lazy servant class and I'm not. But uh, that's crazy because they didn't even fucking work out that morning. Anytime they say any of that stuff, they didn't even work out. It would always be so funny when I was in the army. There would be all these guys who would be like, "Hey, Makavi, blah blah blah," and I wiped out, and I'll just straight up be like, "No, you didn't. No, you didn't." And everyone would laugh because I would say it and it would be correct. And if I pressed people about it, they'd be like, "Oh, well, I didn't work out today, but So I'm like, "Okay, so shut the fuck up. You're not serious, and you're not working out." So, and in reality, this cigar lounge that they think they're in, they like they don't associate with actual people and friends. The cigar lounge they're like psychically placing themselves in is with all of their little fitness stars that they look up to so much, but really just have these weird enamorment parasocial relationships with. And the fundamental underlying problem with all of this is you're not being fucking serious and honest with yourself, and you're not getting the real results. It's all a LARP. How about if you want to be a part of the fitness community, you get fucking fit, dude? Is it really that uncomfortable to work out an hour or two a fucking day and lift some weights? What the fuck else are you going to do? Dopamine max? Chronically fucking jerk off for the 20 billionth time? What's more, these characters love to, there's two separate characters, but I'll get into the two separations. The most offensive thing that really fucking pisses me off and that I would like totally annihilate every time I saw it would be these characters who like half-ass the gym 3 times a week for 20 minutes and then abuse that as a qualifier to bully all the people who don't work out at all. Like, and then they would come and try to fucking relate to me about it like they're on my level. And that's another layer to this, is they figure, oh, well, if I can relate to Marchese, then it's another version of a parasocial relationship and thinking that they're fit by association. Yeah, those dweebs that don't work out at all, am I right? Right? We are like, can relate, right? We're like friends, right? And they use this to bully and abuse the other people. And I'd say, excuse me, you're no fucking different from them. In fact, I feel worse for them than I do for you, because at least they're not putting on an act. You fucking are. You're dishonest. They're not. So don't be that. The classical thing where if you feel the need to bully people like that to ascertain some sort of ranking, to bolster your ranking in the hierarchy and all that, you're fucking dweeb. You want to bolster your ranking. It's cringe. You've heard it a million times, but unironically, build yourself up. You want to be better than everyone else? Then fucking be better than everyone else. Instead of trying to bolster the image of everyone else being worse. Level up. So, now, let's get into, there's two different versions of this, actually. There's the Normie Gym Culture and the Tough Guy Gym Culture. So, we'll start with Normie Gym Culture. I'm a little tired. I've been so tired today, dude. And it's funny to, like, say that to the screen because I know someone somewhere is going to be like, dude, you're on Twitter all day, but I don't know. Sometimes it happens. It's probably because I've been ripping 455 on the deadlifts. My deadlift, I'm a total squat cell now. My knees, not to cope and excuse it, but my knees are problematic, and my squat, is totally subordinate to my deadlift. So I figured, why don't I replace my squat-based leg days with just more deadlift-based leg days? And it's proven out. I'm ripping 455 for like 5 to 6 now. So I should post a video of that just as a proof, post proof. So, all right, so there's two different versions of this culture. Let's start with Normie Gym Culture. Normie gym culture is the like first red pill, the first level of entering the fitness space and all of that. And it's this part really is like, sorry, but it really is just like women just being fucking stupid, this version of the culture. And it's primarily characterized as these mostly women that do the gym bits on Instagram and all that, but everything is like, it's always like these cozy, kind, warm, inviting edits and the warm and inviting fonts and the cute little artisanal platters and stuff and meals and the long diatribes about self-care and the importance of taking care of yourself and and blah blah. This stuff is more bullshit, and this is the most flagrant version of just excusing laziness and excusing bullshit. Excuse me for the itchy eye here. The FBI agent that's assigned to me is I haven't had an annoying day in a little while, so the FBI agent that's assigned to me is altering the physics in my room right now to make everything annoying. So, and you might have seen in my article some picture examples of this. I have one of the pictures pulled up here, right? Focus on whole foods. You can even read in the tone here, in the font here, focus on whole foods. For my people who like to snack, only snack on whole foods. Fruit, veggies, yogurt, etc. Fruit. Fruit. It's important to eat fresh fruit and veggies. Wow, I haven't fucking heard that before. It's really important to rest and have a self-care day. So, now, what this is actually meant to do, this earnestness and this playfulness and making it a fun, cute little challenge, try this workout, and it's always like a 20-minute, like 20 minutes of just fucking moving like a dork. Is that really working out? It goes back to try this workout. Just because it has the term workout on it doesn't mean it's actually fucking sufficiently challenging to put on serious size, mass, strength, endurance, and so on and so forth, and make you look like the sexed up monster you've always wanted to look like. So it primarily serves to just further dress up laziness as working out. In particular, we talked about this last time, when they make it like a little game, try this challenge. Epic challenge for you. Making it a game is this marvelous, spectacular pathology where if you make it a game, you now know that the incoming guilt of failing the game, failing to work out, and all of that is going to be significantly less than that of if it isn't a game. If it isn't a game, you failed to keep your promise to yourself, you failed to be disciplined, you failed to get what you always wanted out of your life. But if it's a little game that you failed to be consistent in or win, oh, whoopsie, oh yeah, that fitness stuff, oh man, that looks like so much fun, but I didn't have time for it, Oh, whoops, I just have the kids, I have the more important responsibilities. They conveniently dress it up as if it's not a responsibility. It fucking is. You are responsible for treating yourself with the kind of respect it takes to get serious about the gym and all of your goals and aspirations. So, and what's more, people love to make it into a game because they know deep down they're not going to stay consistent with it, because they don't want to stay consistent with it, because they don't want to give up their comforts and pleasures. So, moreover, the secondary layer that's more so an exclusive to the... Well, I'll say this first. Playing into this normie gym culture still doesn't resolve how you don't get the results. But the gym culture is there for you to excuse that insofar as You get to say, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm doing what they say. I'm doing what the experts and the fit people say, but man, I just can't get in shape. I don't know what's going on. So what does this do? This sets you up for a couple pathways. You can say, well, I'll still do it because it's important and I want to be an adult. I want to adult today. But it's not really adulting because it's not fucking hard, but you still get to you still get to grant yourself that cheap rank, that cheap characterization. Or they get to say, oh man, you know what? Since I'm doing every possible thing I can, there's no possible way that maybe the problem is working out 3 times a week for 20 fucking minutes isn't enough. Because the gym culture says that's what you got to do. So that has to be the most I could possibly do. So therefore, anybody who looks better than me, they must be cheating. It must be genetics, steroids. Oh, they're younger. Oh, they don't have the stress, and so on and so forth. So would you look at that? That culture is conveniently set up for you to fuck off, essentially. More. Now, in case you still feel a little guilty, that cozy, warm, earnest invitation energy that it gives serves as a propositional social support group. So when you feel guilty and all of that, you get to talk to your friends about it, talk to these fitness people about it, and talk about how you feel guilty and all of that. Since they're so warm and inviting, you know that you can open yourself up to that. You can be vulnerable to them with that. They invite you to be vulnerable with them. You are vulnerable and you express your guilt and all of that. They help you rationalize it away. Oh, well, you know, it's hard and the kids and, oh, you know, you can't be perfect and that sort of thing. So now you're alleviated of your guilt further. So every box is getting checked off here. And the other person gets to rationalize their excuses and their guilt alleviation for themselves by verbalizing it. If they verbalize it and you take it seriously, it bolsters its legitimacy. And they use that for themselves. And isn't it ironic, too, if you think about it, these characters that post this stuff online, doesn't it kind of feel like they're talking to themselves when they talk about, oh, it's important to self-KO and all that? They're really just talking to themselves publicly and asking for you to be that alleviator of guilt for them. And also they're providing you with some tips, some quick little plugins for yourself to alleviate the guilt for yourself. But it was always so interesting to me how they really seem to just be fucking talking to themselves and soliciting sympathy. I think I told you in the last video, I knew this girl from college and she wasn't really a fitness star or anything, but she would post that stuff. And every post was like, oh, I didn't work out today, but that's okay because it's self-rest and self-care and all of that. You can't be too hard on yourself. You can't be perfect. And that would be like every fucking post. Like, when do you go to the gym? Do you ever go? Like, what is this? And in reality, the underlying evolutionary psychology here is that it really is people just insist on pacifying their lizard brain. All of these alleviations of guilt and the social support group and the fake legitimacy of these bullshit workouts that are easy, that aren't anything, and this hyperventilation over food, nutrition, neuroticism, just all checks off all the boxes your lizard brain needs to satiate its compulsion for comfort, pleasure, and the avoidance of discomfort and displeasure. Discomfort and displeasure of every form, not just the physical discomfort and displeasure of the working out, but the discomfort and displeasure of the superego imposed guilt. But you're still left with a discomfort that the lizard brain can't rationalize or can't resolve, and that is the discomfort of not being true to yourself, not being honest to yourself, not respecting yourself, not caring, I shouldn't say caring, not having the true love for yourself by giving yourself what you deserve, by giving yourself the body, physique, health, mind, mentality, discipline you so desperately desire. That's the only way to ever come to peace with your sense of self, is to keep those promises to yourself, is to be disciplined. How much pleasure it's been, like, you know, if you're an adult 20 plus years, how much of that, we all know that watching fucking TV shows does nothing for us. It's not only a symptom of a low IQ moment. Can't talk. It's not only a symptom of depression, but it's also a cause of depression. And it's a cause of depression because you're not living for anything. You're not being who you want to be. You're not reaching your full, most extraordinary form. You are not being your best self. And that's stuff you've all heard a million times before, and it's corny and it's, you know, cringe, but there's kind of no other way to say it. You're never going to fool yourself. You're never going to be able to put on an act. Life is suffering. Like, just fucking accept that. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll be happy and you'll be much more at peace. Because you will be doing the things that you want to do. And resolving the gym version of this is like the foundation to your pyramid, to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, let's say. You know, to reaching the top of that hierarchy. So, now I do want to say this too. The stuff about alleviating shame, it is a bullshit cope, but also the shame is like the dark side of the Force. You know, only Jedi Masters can read the Dark Side of the Force books in the Jedi library, because it takes a lot to navigate it. It takes a lot to understand it. It is a very sensitive, chaotic feeling. So on some level, they're trying to alleviate that because it can be disastrous for your sense of self and self-esteem. But, you know, it's even an even greater disaster to just take that and run with it and have no shame at all over anything. Shame shouldn't be your primary motivator, but it's got to be there to think of the burning fire as your soul, the firewood as your soul motivation to keep going, and happiness and all that stuff. But shame sometimes is the lighter. You're going to need that. There is a fine line with navigating it. I do have some friends where if I'm not careful when talking to them about this type of stuff, when they ask me for advice, I do have to be careful not to, spark that too much in them, because some people really feel ashamed of themselves and do kind of devolve into like this, terrible thought process and patterns of treatment of themselves. So just be mindful. Be mindful, but don't take that and fucking run with it. All right. Interestingly, this is kind of like libtard coded too. This is kind of like one of the pillars of like libtardism, is this anti-shame stuff. But that's gotten taken and run with. To have no shame at all and to just, completely indulge in degeneracy. All right. I'm going to skip the little pathology part I have here because it's long here. So let's move on to tough guy gym culture. Let me check the time here. Not doing too bad. Yikes, look at that red eye from the itching. The FBI again. Back at it again. It's so over. Now, there's a secondary layer, and this is tough guy gym culture. And these are the people that are a real problem with the fitness stuff, because these are the people who half-ass in between. The 3 times a week, 20-minute heads who think they're tough and cool and prance in the fucking gym with their huge gym bag that has nothing in it but a 5-pound bag of Sour Patch fucking Kids for their intra-workout carbs. They slam it down. They do the cool guy throw their phone on the floor. The fucking power lifter throw their phone on the floor thing. Look around like this. Like tough, cool guys. And then they go do their dramatic warm-up just to do one set of like 225 on bench for 1 rep. And then they don't do any more sets. They don't do any more after that. And then they move on to like the fucking pec deck machines, and then they call it a fucking day. These characters are worse because they're more numerous and the dishonesty. Now, usually what motivates these types is a pathological need for like fatherly approval, the insecure thing, the masculinity thing. They want to be disciplined to become more masculine. That's self-control, ownership over yourself, being in charge of yourself. But they don't want to give up their precious fucking comfort and feelsy goodsies and dopamine. And really, it's all just an advertisement to women. So they figure as long as the advertisement gets women to buy, which sometimes mean putting on a performance. So long as the performance is enough to get them their precious fucking PP and VV, they'd rather elect to do that. And that's what most of them do. So, you know, they parrot the quips and they parrot the quips with brevity. You know, you gotta eat, eat, eat. And they're especially problematic because most of the time they very strongly adhere to and attach to these quips because a lot of these quips protect their indulgence. So, for example, this one that was on TikTok like years ago, was this really skinny girl, and she had a salad, and she's like, if you want to eat big, you got to get big, and it's a salad. And the guy, it's a stitch, and it cuts to the guy, and he's like, a salad has 15 calories. If you want to get big, eat this stuff. And it's like, bro, cringe level 10 out of 10. The compulsive seethe and the compulsive reactionary reaction is because what she said threatens their precious protection of their indulgence. Because they're so attached to, oh, you got to eat big and enough calories and all of that, which they're attached to because that interpretation we mentioned earlier, they're confident in it and thus, by extension, gather confidence in their interpretation of it. And their interpretation of it is, oh, if I want to get big, I got to eat big. So I guess that means I get to go to McDonald's because, I have to eat big to get big. So it excuses their indulgence. And then once you threaten that, they lose their fucking minds because they've worked so hard on rationalizing their indulgence and protecting it that once you expose that, you totally crush their sense of self and totally crush their little construct. And when you crush that, it opens the door for the guilt and for the facing of the truth to be there, which is that they don't fucking look good. They're not fucking big. They're not tough. They're not cool. They're not fit. They're not anything. And they should feel ashamed of themselves for lying to themselves and putting on such a fucking act. So, right, the bulk stuff. Whenever you see the videos of these guys with the bulk stuff, they're always like pigging out. Like, it's disgusting. Like, it's gross. It's lacking in decorum. It's rude. It's impolite. It's unsophisticated. And they present it that way because that carefully communicates to you to pig out. Ugh. Making the pig noises, fucking oinking the whole time, sticking their snout in their fucking burgers and oinking the whole time. This doesn't mean specifically burgers are bad in a way. I won't get into that type of stuff. But the point is, the tough guy gym culture is especially pernicious because a lot of their quips and copes excuse the indulgence, excuse the stuff, but because they're so confident in its tough guyness, they're ready to, slash and attack anything that pokes a hole in that because they could never be bothered to give up rolling around their fucking pigsty and rolling around their fucking filth. So, just like with the stuff with bulking and cutting cycles, I tweeted about this. I've never been on a bulk or a cut cycle. I just lift and I eat. And for the past 12 years, the implications or the consequence of that has been I've been sizable and I've been lean and I've put up good numbers the whole time. because I'm not going to fucking bulk because that's just an excuse to be indulgent, and I'm not going to cut because that's just putting on a fucking act for everybody. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty hardcore. I'm cutting. Oh, it's so hard. Yeah, real challenging to give up indulgence for a few months. The god-awful discomfort of, like, chilling on the fucking candy, chilling on the fucking 5-pound Sour Patch Kids bags in the gym. What's the problem? The problem with this, does that generate the fucking results? The proof is in the pudding. Ask yourself, is this fucking working? Is this getting me what I want? And don't lie to yourself and tell yourself, oh, I want to look like this, and you look like a fucking mediocre pig. Ask yourself, is this getting me the look that I want? And do I look like Marchese or fucking better? Am I on my way to looking like Marchese or better? Have I seen any changes? If the answer is fucking no, then you know what you gotta do. You gotta step it up. There's no other answer. There will never be another answer. You have no choice. Eyes on the prize. The end goal is you want to look, like me or better, whatever. You have no choice. If what you're doing right now isn't fucking working, then you have no choice but to do something that works. And what does work is certainly more than 3 times a week for fucking 20 minutes each time, hopped up on 500 milligrams of fucking caffeine, and then, pigging out when you get home in the name of le bulk. So this is actually getting a little shorter than the article version, but I suppose that's good there. Let's see, 40 minutes. Not bad. Let me double check if there's anything else. You know what's so funny? I told you about these like freak girls. After she blocked me, she went through to my conversations with my friends, and then she was like, and then one of her friends was like, you're unpleasant. And she was like, girl, look at his YouTube. So it's like, you really stalked me to my YouTube, because my YouTube links aren't always up. They aren't always pinned on my Twitter. So she had to dig through to find my YouTube. And the implication there is, just look at his Twitter as it explains everything, is like, a lot of women do this thing where, like, if you as a man speak passionately, it all of a sudden means you're a seething, raging anything. Seething, raging incel. And it's like, yeah, me as a life coach, yeah, let me speak softly and kindly about this type of stuff. People are dissatisfied with their bodies and their, you should speak softly in terms of, like, not just shit on somebody, but, this stuff is fucking real. This stuff is serious. And you got to get serious about it. And that takes passion. That takes drive. So, okay. So the secondary layer. A lot of times people do this too to further alleviate this compulsion for fitting in. So if there's like the lizard brain, the next level up is the mammal brain, which is all about, it is still slavery to your instincts, slavery specifically to the intersocial dynamics and stuff. So this is the instinct to fit in, to avoid conflict, to, have friends, which, all of these instincts do serve a purpose, but, in particular, it's slavish and obsequious when it's just being a fucking sheep and just trying to be like everybody else and being a slave to your need, having a need for approval. So that's where this other layer to it comes in, is people do this gym culture and fitness community stuff because they have a need to fit in. And this is a problem because you are subordinating yourself to the approval of other people. You're not going to take any control of your life, take any control of anything, be a leader, be a man, be anything, if you're that subordinate to other people's approval. What's particularly strange about that is the rationale is that there's somehow an objective, like, an objective fitting in. In other words, there's an objectively correct way there is an objectively correct way to behave, with stuff like when you go out, like pull your pants up and stuff, but this presupposes that like your personality has to have like a correct personality to it. Now, there are freaks and all of that. We can use discretion here. But like, according to who and or what, is there a specific thing you have to be? A lot of times people's personalities fall into a handful of categories anyway. Like, you'll find people who like you and will be cool with you. Even if you're awkward and shy and that sort of thing, I do feel bad for a lot of those guys because they do get shit on. Unironically, like, those are the people that I feel very protective of, because a lot of times people are only awkward because they've been shit on so much that they're just afraid in the first few moments of meeting somebody, that they stumble all over their words and all of that. And then fucking idiots, slaves to their mammal brain instinct to ostracize people who are awkward or not in good social standing, will be like, you're weird and all of that. Fuck you to those people, by the way. If somebody goes out of their way to say hi to me or try to make me laugh, and even if they're stumbling or awkward on their words, I'll always say hi back. I'll always be nice. I'll always let them work through the first few moments of anxiety. And usually they calm down and quit being awkward anyway. So if you are one of those people who's awkward in that first moment, it's going to take a lot to overcome that. But you should know that, like, you can just say things and be things, and someone somewhere is going to like you. So you don't need, like, the gym culture to fit in. In fact, putting on an act and being a part of something just for the sake of approval will get you more, it'll be more off-putting. And it's further just a denigration of your soul. You don't want to be subordinate to the approval of others. It makes you feel powerless. It makes you feel weak. And you're never going to ascertain any happiness by being subordinate to that. The only approval you truthfully need is your internal approval of yourself. And getting external approval isn't going to serve as like empirical evidence as to why you should approve of yourself. A lot of people fall into that trap. Especially if you want to be tough with this stuff. You can't subordinate yourself or sense of self and approval to anybody or anything, because now that person's in charge of you. Does that make you feel tough? You're not tough or a leader or a man if somebody's in charge of you. Yes, there's going to be structures where you have to be subordinate to somebody, but psychically, psychodynamically, if you're subordinate, if you're actually interpersonally, relationally is subordinate to other people, you're not tough. You're not cool. You're not alpha. So don't try to get approval. You're just going to be chasing nothing that's never going to make you feel good about yourself. Your approval has to come from within, and external approval isn't empirical evidence to prove that why you should approve of yourself. Just think about why you would want to fit in too. Do you really want to be like any of these people anyway? What's going on, guys? It's Marchese here, and today I'm going to give you your top 5 exercise. You want to be that? That's what they all fucking do. One of the for years, actually, I had planned on doing something like this, Marchese Methods, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because I didn't understand how to do this without falling into that. What's going on, guys? Like, I'm not just going to copy what they all do because it's all cringe and vapid anyway. I'm not just going to post shirtless pics because that's always an advertisement too. Every guy that does that, they're advertising to women. Not only do I not want to advertise to women because I'm married, and not only is that disrespectful to women, but that's an effeminate strategy, by the way, to advertise to women. How do women advertise to men? By presenting themselves, by their looks. So if you're doing the same thing, you're advertising to women by being effeminate. That's an effeminate strategy. You're adopting femininity to attract women. That's precisely what it means to be a beta. That's sexual mimicry. The biology term for it is actually sexual mimicry. And exuding and oozing traits of women is not attractive because they want masculine traits. They're attracted to men, not women. So anyway, for the longest time, I couldn't figure out how to do this stuff because I didn't want to fit in, especially because they're all just saying and doing the same fucking thing. You know, they all give you the same tips and all of that as if you haven't heard all of those for the 5,000th time. There's a million and one fitfluencers, yet somehow all of their tips and tricks and optimized hypertrophy and all that still can't seem to solve the fucking fitness problem. The country's still obese. The country still has a problem. People still hate themselves. People still don't go to the gym. Mediocre physique type people are still oozing and seething with rage and self-hatred. So that's why I don't want to be a part of that. So do you? Why would you want to be that? It's all vapid and cringe and nothing. You don't want to fit into that. You just want to be you. You want to get fit for the sake of being fit, not get fit to be a part of the fitness community so you can tell the stupid jokes together and get people to like you. Getting people to like you is not going to serve as empirical evidence for you to like yourself. Furthermore, whenever there's a collective of people, I'm going to try to wrap this up. Whenever there's a collective of people, I think I mentioned this in the beginning, there's going to be something in common with everybody. And the more people there are, the more common something has to be. The more common something has to be, the more simplistic it has to be. The more simplistic it has to be, the more of a product of low-level neurology it has to be. So, for example, basically what I'm getting at is the collective unconscious of the gym culture necessarily has to appeal to something in common to everybody. And since nobody is disciplined, nobody has motivation, nobody has a gym, but everybody wants to be a chronically masturbating, pleased, overindulgent freak, necessarily gym culture is going to appeal to that and appeal to all these things we mentioned earlier, masquerading it as something else, alleviating guilt, and so on and so forth. So what that means for you is you should really step back whenever there's a collective, whenever there's something more and more increasingly common. Step back and say, okay, that's likely a product of just being a slave to your lizard brain and mammal brain. So that's the danger in enveloping yourself in gym culture. It all appeals to your lizard brain and all that stuff anyway. So you wind up right where you started. You wind up no different. You wind up with no control over your mind. You wind up being just like them. You wind up being indulgent and a slave and a pig and so on and so forth. If you want the physique that nobody has, you have to do the things that nobody does. And you might think, well, it would be fine to be like the average of the average gym goer, but just look at the average gym goer. They're still mediocre. Well, if I'm like the average gym goer, that means I'm going to have the average gym goer's physique, which means I'm going to be a sexed up monster, right? No. Many of these participants in the gym culture are just mediocre and seething about it. So you have to protect your mind from these things. The more common something is, the more likely it's a product of lizard brain slavery. What's in common to the whole population? We all breathe air. You know, is that a goal to have? Is that something to really think about or be significant? What's common to Americans? What, are we cool or something? What's common to everyone in Florida State? What's common to everyone who studies math? You know, like the bigger a group and the more common something is, the more simplistic, vapid, useless it is. You want to be different. You're trying to be something different. Everyone's a fat, mediocre freak. You're trying to be the polar opposite of that. That means you have to be different. And that means you have to be very different from most of the people in the gym. You're trying to be a top 1% performer in lay gym culture, not the average of the gym culture. You want to be the guy in your local gym that does rep 225 for reps on bench. Most gym goers can't do that. So do you want to be like most gym goers? You know, so the reality is gym culture is this collective unconscious slavish pacification of your lizard brain, of your mammal brain. And all that's meant to serve is put on an act, put on a show, try to be fit by association, try via your parasocial relationships with fitfluencers, you know, dress up being lazy and doing half-ass workouts as serious workouts, crazy workouts, and all of that. Alleviate the guilt of not having what you want. You know, being feelsy goodsies and getting in your, fitting in and, playing nice with some friends and talking about your feelings and guilt and all that stuff. Excusing bulking, excusing indulgence. You're never going to be fit by association. You're never going to achieve the results that you want by being like everybody else. You're never going to have another answer other than get to the fucking gym and lift weights. And you're never going to alleviate that shame either by any way other than just fucking doing the workouts. If you're so ashamed of your physique and if you're so ashamed that you don't go to the gym and all that, start going to the gym and it magically goes away. So, can you tell I'm tired here? I'm like running out of steam. I don't know what it is today. Maybe the weather change or something. Let me look at my conclusion here. A good takeaway is this stuff all is like a get-rich-quick scheme or a get-fit-quick scheme. Get-rich-quick schemes never work, so neither will a get-fit-quick scheme. And you're not cool, you're not tough, you're not alpha just by parroting the fucking jokes and parroting the quips and abusing them as an excuse to be indulgent. So, I think I'll wrap it up there. Let's see, I'm just reading here. In short, you got to ask yourself, is this working? And the answer to that is embedded in what is the prize. And whatever the prize is, ask yourself, are your eyes on it? And if your eyes are not on the prize, the answer will be, it's not working. If your eyes are on the prize, the answer will be, it is working. And what is working is likely going to be, not even likely, is going to be serious working out, serious lifting, not making it a fucking social club, ignoring fucking fitfluencers, doing what it takes, giving up indulgence. So, that's going to do it for this one. Be sure to like and subscribe. Twitter's going well and all of that. If you're here from YouTube, follow me on Twitter. Same name, Marchese Methods. If you're here from Twitter, subscribe to me on YouTube, especially if you're one of my soldiers, my fellow soldiers, scaring all the hoes online. Make sure you guys make YouTubes and subscribe to me here too. I subscribe back. Subscribe for subscribe. The loyalty. No, I'm just kidding. Much appreciated. Much appreciated if you watch this all the way to the end. I think I'm going to start doing I'm going to do some faster ones, some ones that are easier for me to get my thoughts out, get a little bit more content out more consistently. And maybe I'll do something like Marchese Daily or something like that. And that way, since it's daily, I kind of have an excuse for it to not be super articulate and well thought out and all of that. I'll just come up with a thing or two I want to say. Maybe I'll just go over what I thought to tweet out for the day and so on. If you would like one-on-one, one-on-two, or one-on-three coaching, head on over to marchesemethods.com. We work together on everything from relationships to money to muscle and that sort of thing. Muscle, money, mentality. and we can work together to get you your goals and get you what you want and identify your thoughts and your patterns and your behavior and that sort of thing. So marchesemethods.com for coaching, Marchese Methods for Twitter and for YouTube. Thanks so much for tuning in.